Alright, y'all, welcome back to my channel, Perspective. And today I'm going to cover the first point, because there's a lot of people on Doomy B. Leah's channel. She actually posted a lot of stitches against this Edomite or this white man. I got a habit of calling them by their biblical names, or palm person, or whatever you want to call it. Anyway, she got a lot of stitches against him, and they're talking about, talking against his speaking points. I wanted to cover his first speaking point, and I'm gonna play it for you. Like I say, the channel Doomy B. Leah, it was a good video. I watched most of it. I think I watched about 20 minutes of it, maybe 30. I'm not sure, but I watched most of it. And because I wanted to see some of the stitches, because this guy goes on and on and on trying to bash black people, African Americans, while he kept saying that this is not about black people, this is all about all Americans. And it was funny, but his first speaking point, I want you to have a listen, and I'll come right back.
Look, I'm not opposed to the idea of actors playing people of different race in fiction. That is fine. But don't pretend that this is a documentary. Just look at it.
This is a woman exercising power.
It's possible that she was an Egyptian.
I imagine her to have curly hair like me and a similar skin color.
I remember my grandmother saying to me, I don't care what they tell you in school, Cleopatra was black.
I especially appreciate the sources of this documentary. Some woman's grandmother who doesn't like official education. Nice research, Netflix. This is how Cleopatra looked. This is how she looked. This. All of this were made in her era by people who have seen her. Who the hell are you? Oh, and this might be my favorite part.
It's possible that she was an Egyptian.
It is possible she was an Egyptian. Possible. Let me translate what it means for you. It means we have tons of proof that she was Greek. She called herself Greek, others called her Greek. Her whole family is Greek, her name is Greek, but that doesn't fit our narrative. So we'll treat possibility as an equal to the fact, because that's how documentaries are made. The fact that black Americans try to claim people of other races as their heroes and role models means only one thing: their internal shame of being black. They don't believe in their own heroes, they don't like them. That's why they try to claim yours. But guess what? Needs of black Americans are not above the needs of Greeks and Egyptians. They have no right to play with other people's history like it's a toy in the hands of an entitled brat. Just look at this.
Now, and that's where he goes into the bashing part. But hey, I just liked what he said. They have no right to claim to play with history like an entitled brat. It's because they hate their own history. So let's use that same energy, playing with history like an entitled brat, and changing up history because you hate your own heroes and your own history. Okay, let's use that energy. Let's go with Alexander the Greek, or the Alexander the Great, they call him. What was his father's name? Philip II of Macedon. But Alexander was the first of Greek. And then, of course, they began calling themselves Greek, because the original Greeks were of a dark skin color. Actually, the original Greeks were the modern day Hawaiians and Samoans. Those were the original Greeks. They were conquered by the Macedonians. Well, they were conquered by the Illyrians, to be more precise. And they were taken over. But that history is, for some reason, stripped and unknown. And it takes a lot of digging to even dig that up. It's almost unknown, that white people or Indo-Europeans was what they were calling it at that time. They actually conquered the original Greeks, which were of a dark skin, which were, they would be known as the Samoans or Hawaiians today. They were the original Greeks. That's why I pulled up a little of the original Greeks' art, because they were dark-skinned people. This is original Greek art here, But of course now it looks a whole lot like white people, But at first, no, it was just a lot of pottery and stuff. and it had black images on it. So I guess white people must hate their heroes and their gods and everything. I mean, hey, they didn't took over the name Greek. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, more art of the original Greeks. I mean, it's not like they couldn't paint it a different color, but why is all this art, with depicting black people? Makes you want to say, huh? So using his energy, hey, you must hate your own people. You must. Why? Because you're using history to paint your people in a better light. Okay. Next on the list, the gods of Egypt. The first thing you notice is, of course, and I remember this movie, everybody was white in this movie. Everybody. Maybe a couple of black enemies, but everybody was white in this movie. The gods of Egypt. Now, let me, I gotta just play this just a little bit.
People of other races as their heroes and role models means only one thing: their internal shame of being black.
The internal shame of being what?
The fact that black Americans try to claim people of other races as their heroes and role models means only one thing: their internal shame of being black.
Now, claiming races of other people. So I take you to these Egyptians. Why is everybody white? It is a known fact, a straight up fact, that the Egyptians are dark-skinned people. Wow. Just wow. And across the world, we know this. Yet in this movie, they portrayed them all as white. The eternal shame of being white. The internal shame of being white. No, this wasn't going on in Egypt during the time period that they portray. Mind you, yes, this is a fictional movie. This still wasn't going on in Egypt at the time that they portraying. None of this. These people wasn't there. Not at all. I mean, white people just cannot stand that black people had better culture than theirs at any time in history. I mean, these people don't even like to take baths. They don't like to wash their legs and feet. Inside joke. But anyway, I mean, hey, they must have that internal shame of being white, right? Because we're using his energy. Let's see some more. So let's see if we can get some true history. This is from the book Babylon to Timbuktu. Page 84. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. Black Jewish slaves. And the slave markets it's talking about is the transatlantic slave trade. They were full of black Jewish slaves. Why? Because the Jewish people were black. There's a lot of studies being held on it. There's all types of historical accounts of white people saying the same thing. But who are the Jews? You guessed it. Oh, they all look so light-skinned today. They don't look black at all. You just want to say, must be that internal shame again. I mean, hey, if the Jewish people were black, how are they white now? And let's go to one more. Just one more. Who is this guy? You might remember him from different art and pictures. And yes, I do believe in the Bible. Yes, I do. This guy is who you might call Jesus. Jesus, supposedly depicted in the Bible. Looks a lot like him, huh? So, now, while we're looking at Jesus in the Bible, that looks like this guy, wow. But hey, this just has to be true. I mean, the number one source that you know Jesus from would be the Bible, right? So, let's read what it says. Revelations 1 and 13. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool. That don't look right. As white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice the sound of many waters. That don't look right. Let me read it one more time. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. So it had to be dark brown, right? Wow. Now that looks like a picture depicted in the Bible of who you may call Jesus, right? So where did this guy come from? Oh, must be that internal shame again. And there's many more examples. Just like the white guy that says he's African. I have to pull that up too, because people call him European. He don't want to be called European. He wants to be called African. But he looks like this guy too. Must be that internal shame again. But anyway, that's enough talk about this internal shame that white people have. So let me know your thoughts in the comment below, because this is my perspective and I want to know yours.